So Kiwi and I are issuing you a challenge.
We are doing a TikTok contest.
Yes, that's right. Our music has officially been added to TikTok.
Yes, including our 2 new singles.
Yes. So I think it's only our 2 new singles.
Oh.
So what I want you to do is I want you to make a TikTok using our music, and I want you to send it to me at Scooter Abraham on Twitter.
With 2 A's at the end.
Yeah, Scooter Abraham. It's H-A-A-M. I'll just flash it on the screen. And so whoever makes the best, funniest TikTok is going to win a free album of American Squalor.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to send it 5 days before it actually releases. But
yes.
You have to be hush. Please don't leak it.
Or we'll be so pissed.
Yeah, we'll be sad. So make a hilarious TikTok and then send it to us on Twitter and then win a free album.
Yes, and follow us on Twitter.
Life in the material world. Oh, what a wonderful place. You can have whatever.
Hi, I'm Kiwi.
And I'm Scooter.
And welcome to our Q&A.
Our Q&A. And guess what? We are going to be answering your questions
that you sent to Scooter on Twitter.
That's right. So I hope you all enjoyed our new singles that we dropped.
Yeah.
Very big, very important. I love them. I think they're great. And the fan response
Yeah, you
was
guys are
awesome.
super cool.
You guys are super cool. I love our fan base. You guys are seriously the best.
We love you guys.
We appreciate it.
Everyone who listened, who streamed it, who bought
We
bought the new
We
singles.
bought a lot on Bandcamp. We got a lot of money from Bandcamp. That
Yeah.
was fucking sick. Thank you guys.
Way more than we expected, you know?
Way better release than we expected. Our view count on YouTube was pretty low.
But that's okay. Like, we kind of realize now that so many people listen to stuff on Spotify.
Yeah, our Spotify numbers are great. Our
Yeah.
Spotify streams are over 2,000, so
Yeah.
we're doing pretty good on Spotify.
And we got control over our own Spotify again.
Finally. So we're a real band now.
Yeah.
So let's start answering some of our fan questions. There were a lot of submissions.
Yes.
Like a fuckload of submissions.
And a lot of them were just meme
trolls,
which we'll answer some of the
which
troll
is
questions.
fun. That's fine, but fuck you.
Yeah.
All right. So
some
the
people
first,
actually had real questions.
I specified that I wanted the questions to be about the new album.
Yeah.
I want the questions to be about the new album or about our singles or about anything like that. So
Turn your phone on silent, fucking
yes, I will
dumbass.
turn my. There we go. We're on silent. So the first question is coming from Leo. And Leo asks, how would you compare this album to Crutch? Similar vibe or something totally new? Or that weird in between?
Yeah, Max asked a similar question too. Max Moore.
Let's give a good answer.
Yeah. I think that this album is, for the most part, like a lot more layered.
I would say it's a lot different from Crutch. But I think we tried to keep the same elements that made Crutch good.
Yeah. I think that I write lyrics in the exact same way. Like, my writing process is the exact same way. It's just that, like, different things are happening to me. So it's just like about a different period of my life where, like, right now I'm just like kind of growing with Scooter at this kind of period of like economic anxiety and existential dread that comes when, you know, now we're like sober and it's not like every day is just about like getting our fix anymore, or every day is not just about trying to stay sober. We're just like normal people, and now every day is like about like planning for our future and trying to be like adult humans and what that means. And so conceptually, it's a lot different because of that.
It's true. So Crutch, I would say, is an album that's kind of a loose concept album about getting sober. And this album is kind of a loose concept album about just the society that we live in.
Yeah, it's like, it's a loose concept album about like
capitalism, working, trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
Just kind of how like our generation was dealt the worst hand ever of after high school, your options are work low wage jobs, join the military, or go into incredible debt.
Yeah.
And that's what the majority of people have, those options. Some people have better options like, oh, my dad gave me a business. But for most people, those are the options. And Kaylee and I chose low wage labor and going into college debt.
Yeah. And I think that it's just kind of even as like we're people who have it like better off than a lot of other people do because we have like, family around us that love us and friends and stuff. It's still like there's like an inescapable kind of just sense of like impending economic doom that surrounds us about and just insecurity about what the future is going to look like. For me, like just kind of I get a little like climate doomery and
yeah, a lot of the album has to do with climate change and the fear that we kind of have about that. And
then like musically, so I think conceptually it's different just
it's
because of
conceptually
how
a lot different.
because how life has changed. But I think that like musically, I think we get a little more experimental.
We get very experimental
with
on
the
some
sound,
songs.
add a lot more keys.
Yeah, we're playing a lot more instruments now.
Yeah.
Crutch was basically just guitar, bass, drums.
Yeah.
Maybe some piano here and there, but now we're using like accordions, synthesizers, like
String
electric
quartet.
Rhodes, yeah, a string quartet. We hired a string quartet to play on a song. We have lots of different layers and things. The harmonies are just a lot more frequent.
Mm-hmm. And it is similar in a lot of ways, and that it was all recorded with us and our friends, just like last time.
Yeah, that's true. We have that in common, that we all just kind of recorded it ourselves. DIY album in our bedroom.
And with just like last time, with just some like some of our good friends, in this case Jordan Thornquist, helping us with the drums.
Yeah,
stuff.
Jordan Thornquist did
In
a
his
great
studio.
job recording the drums in his studio, and Patrick Collins did a great job drumming
playing
on this
the
record.
drums. Yeah.
And they're both in our band. And so is Tate. You probably know Tate. All right, next question. Biggest inspiration on the music in your new album? Let's keep this answer short because we talked a lot on the last one.
Biggest inspiration?
Yeah, biggest inspiration for me was the Beatles and The Who.
The biggest inspiration for me was probably Andrew Jackson Jihad, or AJJ now. Listening to a lot of them. Like Courtney Barnett's newer stuff, listening to more of that recently. And Parquet Courts, like Content Nausea, that specific song. And just a lot of like Parquet Courts, like I guess imagery, and some of the kind of more chiller indie music they make.
lyrical styling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's a question from our good friend Jane. Do y'all think making this album taught you a lot more about music producing wise than the last album? And should we expect shorter gaps between the albums than 2+ years? Okay, so this is a pretty complex question. Yes, I have learned a whole lot more about music production since the last album. I have spent the last 2 years busting my ass trying to figure out how to make the best album I can possibly make.
Yeah. And Scooter does most of the producing. I mostly just then
Write
sit
songs.
around and complain about stuff after. I'll be like, can you change that? After he's done a bunch of stuff. After, I've helped write the songs or write my songs and stuff. But I think that the amount of time that we've spent actually producing it is so much more. And
for the question, will it take 2 years until your next album? I would say maybe.
I don't know.
For this album, we wanted to spend a lot of time because we wanted to make this album really good. We wanted to make it not only better than Crutch, but we want to make this album good enough to be professional musicians. That's the goal.
Yeah, and it was
and I
like
get stressed out about it a lot. I think about it like, oh, is this good enough? Is this going to work? Like, yeah. So I worry about it a lot. It's caused a lot of stress in my life. But yeah, I've been pouring my heart into this thing for the last 2 years, writing songs. I think I wrote 60 songs for this album.
Yeah, Scooter writes so many songs that he throws away.
I wrote about 60 songs for this album, and I threw away initially about 40. And then when it came time to come to Kaylee, I had about 12 songs. And then Kaylee was like, I like the chord progressions on those ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to write lyrics for those ones. And then that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah.
And then once Kaylee decides, hey, I like that chord progression, I like that riff, I want to use that in one of my songs, usually what we do is we just sit on the couch for hours and I just keep playing the thing over and over and over while Kaylee sits there with a notebook and figures out what lyrics she wants to do.
Yeah, and then we'll usually like try to like decide what we'll Frankenstein together for a bridge and a chorus and things like that. And
Mostly the songwriting process was crazy on this album because like for a long time we didn't know what we wanted to do, what the theme was going to be. It's always so hard writing the first song for the album.
Yeah, because we always have like the idea, like the reason that it may take a long time again is because to us it's very important that an album is like a good unit, even if the songs are very different from each other and it's very like eclectic sounding, that the album works together like conceptually and somewhat musically. So we usually do spend a lot of time throwing away so much or putting it aside for later. Like there's even a song on this album that he's been hanging on to for like years, like literally like 5 years.
One of the songs on this album, I won't say which one, but one of the songs on this album I wrote about 3 weeks into dating Kaylee.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much the first love song I ever wrote for Kaylee.
Yeah.
And so it's finally getting on this album. We have a full orchestra playing on that song. So, yeah, that song means a lot to us.
Well, a string quartet.
A string quartet, yeah. But, yeah, that song means a whole lot to us.
Yeah.
We're still working on it, trying to make it perfect. But, yeah, that's something pretty crazy that I had that song stashed away for almost 4 years, and now I'm finally posting it.
Well, so it does. So we will have like, you know, songs or concepts that we'll put aside and say like, okay, well, we'll make an album that'll be more like folk blues rock, or let's make an album that's just completely a concept album and we'll like sit on that for a while. So who knows, it could be really short because we could get really inspired with a bunch of like folk punk blues music for when we get our tour van and take it around, and we could have another album out in less than a year. Or
yeah, that's kind of what we've been throwing that idea around, that we want the next album to be like folk punk.
Yeah, like more.
But yeah, that's another thing,
unpolished.
is we want to kind of reinvent ourselves with every album. We want to do something different. We don't want to keep making the same album over and over again. We want to do something different every time. Just artistically, it just is so much more interesting to me to enter new ground than to, because I could play Eggplant Emoji 100 times and I could re-record it, do it the same way. I could make songs like that all the time. Kiwi could write lyrics like that all the time. But we don't want to just keep doing Eggplant Emoji for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, totally.
Next question. All right. What are your favorite songs on the new album? Also, what was your biggest inspiration for American Squalor? We already answered that.
We answered the inspiration. Favorite song though?
Favorite songs on the new album. Let's go.
Burning Building.
Yeah, Kaylee has an acoustic song called Burning Building that is Kaylee's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite song on the album is Black Hole. Okay. Is there a backwards message on Deep Dream? I swear I can hear a voice during the beginning and end of the breakdown.
No.
There will be no secrets on this album. No secret messages.
No secret messages.
So don't even bother trying to listen to them because
It'd be a waste of your time.
they are not there.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a good one for you. What was the thought process behind the album art aesthetic?
I don't know. It came into my brain. Okay, when it comes to art and music, I just get into a flow state, and that's always kind of how it's been. For some reason, I had just like the image of and maybe I'd seen it, long ago in some like phase in a weird animation or in a dream or something of just like something with some guy with like a thing just enter an infinite like stream coming out of his mouth, and then with the rest of the album with the colors and stuff, it just was very like, as I went, I just kind of feel it like what's gonna work and what I want, and until I like it. But then I just have to stop. There's a certain point where it's just done, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna touch it, because if I let myself keep touching it, then it'll just fuck it all up, and it'll just become this disastrous thing that just looks so, in a piece of art just looks so overworked. So I just have to let myself make it like very minimalist.
Yeah. So Kaylee usually listens to the entire album once it's done being tracked, and then decides like kind of what vibe is coming from the album, and then what would be a perfect image for it. And I think once you hear the whole album and look at the artwork, it's going to be a perfect kind of symbiotic type of thing where you're just going to, it really works for the album.
Yeah, I just kind of feel it, let it come into my head, and then just know when it's done. That makes no sense. I'm sorry.
What were your influences from going down this sound pathway? This is from Julia, our good friend from the United Kingdom, who we went and visited, and her parents took us out for a nice meal at a pub.
That was awesome.
Now, one of the best days of my life. Going to England and meeting our fans was the best trip of my life. That was
such a good vacation.
It was incredible.
Everyone they were just so pleasant, and
such
their families,
good attitudes.
Yeah, their families were super nice. And
I thought one of the dads was going to beat us up because they thought that we were pedos for hanging out with 14-year-olds. But
yeah, I was like,
we were just there to say hi.
I was like, what are the logistics of like meeting up with a bunch of 14-year-old boys? And then I was like, well, their parents are going to be there. It's fine. Yeah, one of the dads was like obviously a little weirded out. But then I started talking to him about like the Smiths and stuff, and he just immediately warmed up to me. Yeah. And then I just made him understand that we were just normal, and then we were all meeting together in a big group on purpose. So everything was good, and we just all were gonna go to eat, and it was a great time.
Big shout out to Julia, Alex, Connor, and Nathan. I will never forget that. So Julia's question is, what were your influences for going down this sound pathway? So I'm gonna just talk about the songs that we released. So for Deep Dream, I was trying to make like an electronic dream pop version of A Day in the Life by the Beatles. I was trying to take what I loved about A Day in the Life, and I was trying to do like a kind of beach house version of that, a deep like kind of electronic dream pop version of one of my favorite songs.
And for Apologies to the Hollow Man, I just wanted like
I feel like that one, at least for me producing it, it was very Neutral Milk Hotel was what I was kind of going for.
Yeah, and like I said, I just sit there when it comes to, after hearing like an acoustic chord progression and writing lyrics, then I just say what I can, because I just don't really know anything, and I just will complain and yell at them until it sounds good. But I wanted it to sound like, even though the lyrics are very like kind of in the end of the world doomer, I wanted it to be kind of in like a very like freeing way, where it was just like admitting to yourself that like, maybe some of these things are like changing in serious ways, or some of these endings are inevitable, and that some of these just cycles that we're in, or some of these like social habits that we fall into are just a waste of our times and are making us miserable. And if we free ourselves from them and just admit that everything's kind of over in a way and just fake, that it's very like ultimately exuberant and freeing.
It is. I agree.
I wanted I wanted it to sound exuberant in that way and kind of clash with the kind of sad doomery lyrics in that way to make that message come forward that it was ultimately exuberant.
And to be honest, to be completely honest, please don't roast me for this, but the bass line is totally inspired by Blink-182.
That's okay.
That's the only way I know how to play bass. Mark Hoppus was my bass teacher, so all my bass lines are going to sound like Blink-182. All right, Laserman. K-Quaddle fanboy, Laserman.
He's always changing his shit, so I never
I
know.
love it. I love Laserman.
Yeah.
One of my faves. He asks, how much touring are you planning on doing for promotion for the new album? Well, we have big news for that. Now, we don't have anything set in stone right now, so we don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but we have just purchased a brand new tour bus. Here's a picture of it. And
It's a decommissioned shuttle bus.
it used to be a shuttle.
Yeah.
We're going to rip out all the seats on the inside, and we're going to put in some beds, refrigerator, everything.
I love saying decommissioned.
And we are going to be hitting the road. And we are going to be hitting the road with our good friend, Jordan Thornquist, who's going to be opening for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to go up through the Northwest, Portland, Seattle, and then we're going to go all the way across Canada.
That's the plan right now. I don't think that they realize how hard it is to get to be long term in Canada.
Well, so we're going to go all the way across Canada, and then we're going to go down through the East Coast, Midwest, and ultimately our tour schedule is going to depend on where you guys want us to go, because we want to make sure that we have some people at our shows.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an idea of where you want us to tour, just let us know, and we'll keep it written down. Before people have asked us to do tours in places, and I have it written down on my notepad, but I want to make sure that we're hitting spots where our real fans are.
Yeah.
But
and if somebody knows like a local place, for example, that has good shows that are for like smaller bands that are really fun to go to, the book bands like us, places that we wouldn't hear about otherwise. Like
we need to hear that.
That's super good information to tell us. Like that's the reason why it's fun for us to be in a small band and to be able to talk to our fans directly.
Yeah,
about stuff like that.
That's the cool thing about being in a DIY band is that after shows, we're probably just gonna hang out with you guys, chat it up. We can talk about communism or whatever. But yeah, like we're down to play house shows. We're down to play basements. We're down to play anywhere that's willing to host us.
Yeah.
And as long as we're able to make enough money for gas, that's enough for us. So that's the end of that question. All right. Captain Bible, a.k.a. Wesley, asked us, how hard is it for you to be inspired to write a song? And how many song ideas do you tend to go through anytime you feel inspiration? I easily go through like 8 ideas before I have a song I like. Yeah, totally. I kind of touched on this earlier, but I never have inspiration. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I have never been inspired in my entire life. I write songs when I grab my guitar and my notepad and I sit down and mentally I'm just like, I'm writing a fucking song right now. Let's do this. And 90% of the time, I come up with fucking nothing. So sometimes I guess I do feel inspiration because I wrote the lyrics to the song Black Hole. I wrote them all on the toilet. I was just taking a dump and I wrote all those lyrics. So, I mean, yeah, I write a lot of fucking songs. I probably wrote like 60 songs and I probably had over 100 different riffs and chord progressions that I went through.
Yeah, and when it comes to like lyrics, I definitely like throw a lot away, but like before I write it down, I think it's like it's very much kind of that same flow state thing I was talking about earlier, where when I hear, I'll almost like sometimes I'll do it like because he'll just be writing stuff and like playing chord progressions and trying stuff out, and then I'll hear something that catches my ear that I really like, and I'll like ask him if he can stop and he can keep playing that, or if he's claimed it for his own song that he's already writing, and if I can write some lyrics for it, because I'll have started to already like think of things in my head that are like going through and just like flitting through like what it could be. And then if I am able to start writing it down, then I can just write it down. And usually it'll come to me in like blocks. Like it'll be so hard. I'll write, like I'll just blurt out with my brain just like a whole verse and usually
Totally.
a chorus, and sometimes it'll take months before I'll be able to come up with another chorus, because it's like something is just like one thing to me, like a chorus is, and then the second chorus I want it to still be like united enough with the first verse, but I'll want the second verse to be like united enough with the first verse, like conceptually.
True.
But if I don't have anything, because the first thing just came to me, then it will take me a long time. But I'll always write a whole verse at the same time. I don't think I've ever had a time where I've like struggled for like a couple lines in a verse. It'll just be like, okay, I have this idea for a whole verse, for a concept I'm getting across in this verse, an idea that I'm getting across in this verse. I just need to get it down. But also I'm not picky about rhyming and stuff like that. So it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lyrically, I struggle to find the perfect hook, because I want the perfect hook in my songs. I want to have the point in the song, and I want it to be just exactly how I want it. And that takes forever for me. Most of the time, I'm just playing piano and singing gibberish. You've probably heard me do that a million times.
Mm-hmm.
I just sit there
Random words.
and I just sing gibberish. Sometimes they're not even words. And until I...
Sometimes you just sing I'm gay over and over again.
Yeah, sometimes I just go, I'm gay, I have a penis, my penis is gay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of me writing music, but eventually, somehow, the words pop into my head exactly how I want. And like Kaylee said, I make sure that they fit conceptually within the song. All right, well, that is the end of our video.
Thank you for asking us questions, those of you who took it seriously.
And I'm sorry if we didn't
Fucking
get to your...
memesters.
I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, if you took it seriously.
Yeah, and sorry if you sent us a serious question. We didn't get time. We still love you.
We apologize. The video's getting a little long.
Yeah. We got into heated of a debate about modern music.
I think it was good. I think it was interesting.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Love you.